on the live stream right there. And this morning, I have Rotus with me in the building, and we're having a conversation this morning about Tingo and Jimoh Ibrahim's debt solution. Very interesting, Rotus. Very well. First of all, good morning to you. Let me just start with that. I'm going to jump in on here.
Yeah, good morning. It's 5:30 here. I'm in Abidjan, so we're an hour behind you. And well, we're managing. Just the Africa CEO Forum just concluded. Been covering that, and so it's been very interesting seeing people finally come back into a physical space because of COVID and so on. So, yeah, good morning. Good morning.
All right, and I was going to start with Abidjan boy, but well, you already said it yourself, so you kind of stole my thunder there, but it's fine. It's okay.
I'm sorry,
I
apologize.
It's all good. It's all good. All right, so let's get right into it now. Tingo, company founded by a Nigerian, claiming millions of dollars in revenues. It looks like it could be fraudulent, according to research by another company named Hindenburg. Now, could other Nigerian startups face problems raising money in the future, bearing in mind that this is looking kind of wonky right from the start?
Yeah, they could. Just as a background, Hindenburg Research is a short seller. And what short sellers do is that they make bets that a company's stock is going to fall and they profit off of that. So when it comes to short selling, you borrow money to buy a particular stock. So you could borrow a stock worth 20 naira and you're hoping that the stock falls to maybe 10 naira or 5 naira. So when you borrow that stock for 20 naira, you could buy, I don't know, maybe 5 shares of the stock. So you have 100 naira worth of the stock and it is priced at 20 naira a share. If something happens and your bet pays off and the stock falls from 20 naira to 10 naira, you are returning the shares back to the owner at the value of 10 naira. So you've already profited, made a 10 naira profit on the stock falling. Things could work against you. If the stock goes from 20 naira to 30 naira, now you are in the hole 10 naira that you now have to bring out of your pockets to make up the difference. So short sellers make all these bets that stocks for particular companies are going to fall. What they do to support their position is they have to research these firms that they are targeting and make a case that the companies are not being run well. They can make a case that there is corporate governance issues, there are profitability issues, there are whatever issues to support their research. Okay. So Hindenburg, the business it's in is that it targets specific companies and goes after them with, its research, and it's staking its reputation on those research publications that it puts out. Because if it's wrong, people will not listen to it in the future and they will not take them serious. So they did some thorough research on Tingo, a company which, people have always had suspicion. I didn't think it was outright fraud that they are alleging here, because the company has even responded saying that the research is not accurate and it's libelous and so on. But I think it's fallen like 80% or something in the last 24 hours. But yeah, to answer it, so just want to give a little background on what Hindenburg Research does. So yeah, it could put further. It's just reputational damage is there in terms of what this means for other companies. It's not a good look.
And it's not just reputational damage for other companies. What about reputational damage for the country in general? I mean, there has to be some sort of risk there.
Yeah, it's not today that, you've heard of the emails of the 419 prince and all these other things, that have been associated with Nigeria. So, there could be, we don't need this, right? We don't need another company run by Nigerians to be in the news about being fraudulent. But there are some problems. The Financial Times even ran an article earlier than this saying they had visited the offices of the company, which is based in New Jersey, I think. And there was a groundbreaking ceremony that took place somewhere, but there wasn't any land or something to that effect. So others have been, they've been looking into this firm, and it's been questionable because this firm is claiming millions of dollars in revenues. It offers telephone services, I think mobile services, it does agro processing. It all looks very fishy, and so investors have responded. They've been dumping the stock. And so we could, Nigeria could, to some extent, do better without this news. It would be better if it wasn't there, but it is what it is.
It is what it is at this point in time. Now, since we're talking about reputation, let's talk about businessman and senator-elect for Ondo South Senatorial District, Jimoh Ibrahim. He was on TV yesterday saying Nigeria's debt to GDP is 30%. So the country has room to borrow more. Is that even possible?
Yeah, that's he's misleading a lot of people, but I don't think that many people took him serious. But then I got messages, as always, whenever I've done an update for our viewers, if you have any messages or any questions about anything you see anywhere, just like we've always said, hit me up on Twitter and I'll answer the following day. So that's what I'm doing. I'm just responding to people. I ignored him, to be honest. I didn't even want this to be discussed, but for the purpose of educating people and because people are reaching out, I just said, okay, fine, let's address it. But yeah, you don't pay back loans with GDP. Just using the market. GDP is the market value of the output of goods and services. So it's a valuation based on your outputs, but you can't take that output and pay off your debts. So it's a dangerous thing to be suggesting that we can just borrow way more money at a time when our debt is really, really high. So for people who've been wondering, Mr. Ibrahim's assertion yesterday was pretty dangerous and not accurate at all.
It's actually really important, and it's commendable that you take the time out to actually set the record straight, because a lot of people out there are very impressionable and they don't bother to do any fact finding themselves. So they hear somebody who's perceived to be quote unquote an influential person giving information and they just take it hook, line, and sinker. So it's good that some people are asking questions, and of course you are setting the record straight, which is really commendable. But I'm still talking about debt here. Are there any more accurate metrics to use in measuring Nigeria's current debt situation?
Yeah. So I mean, you use its revenues. It's like your revenue is what you use. So it's debt service to revenue is what you use to measure your ability to be able to pay back loans, and that just means how much of your revenues, how much of the money you are earning is going towards servicing your debts. So and Nigeria's numbers have been really high. The Ministry of Finance in the last administration said in 2022, between January and November, Nigeria used about 80%. So we had an 80%, or was it 88% debt service to revenue ratio, which means 88 naira out of every 100 naira, or 88 kobo out of every naira went towards paying off debt. So you can imagine somebody whose salary is 100,000 naira a month, and they have a debt service to revenue ratio of 88%. That means 88K. That's 88,000 out of the 100,000 every month. Going to go and pay off loans they borrowed from cousins, family, friends, or whatever. So that's more accurate. And Mr. Ibrahim didn't mention that yesterday, unfortunately. So that's and that puts, makes it clear that Nigeria has some major debt issues.
Now, he also said that Nigeria should borrow 5 times what it owes now, get a moratorium of 10 years to make payments, pay off all our old debt, and then repay the new debt over 40 years. What do you make of that?
Well, look, I'll give him some credit for at least trying to put a solution forward. And he said it with such confidence. He was like, Nigeria can pay off our debt in 90 days. And then he put that solution forward. But the thing is, you're just basically swapping out old debts for new debts. I think he said we should talk to export-import banks to get those loans. He said we should talk to multiple ones. I don't know who's going to give you a moratorium of 10 years. So basically, a moratorium is time off to pay off. They're giving you time to pay something off. So if you borrow money in 2023, you won't start paying back the loan until until 10 years later, 2033, right? So I don't know who's gonna that moratorium is too long. The idea that you can have debts of 77 or 70 trillion plus naira, and then you're now being allowed to borrow 5 times that amount is incredibly risky. I don't know who's going to allow, so it just didn't. And then 40 years, that is debt that is going to be paid by this generation and the next. It didn't. It's reckless. It's a reckless plan, and I don't know who's going to give Nigeria that kind of money.
All right, let me take a message here from WhatsApp. This is from Yinka Bolu, and he says, "Thanks, Rotus." Now, some folks took him seriously, and that's why I have always advocated for some level of censorship. Now, he said what you need to do is call together about 5 Exim banks, including China's, and take a loan of about 5 times what we are owing currently. Do a bridge gap financing and then pay off what you owe and have a surplus. Who does that? He said he went to Cambridge, and I think we need to contact Cambridge to know what exactly they teach people. This is a guy who couldn't run a single business properly while in Nigeria. And it's a shame to folks on Twitter that think he is making some sense. I know from Dami says, the man providing the solutions has had issues with AMCON, so you can't take him seriously. All right, let's get back to the issue at hand now. Looking at Nigeria's situation, do you think the country is in any danger of seeking assistance from the IMF, like Ghana or Tunisia, or let's say Kenya?
Yeah, I mean, the possibility is always there. I told the Ministry of Finance, and thank you, Yinka, thank you, Dami, for your messages. The Ministry of Finance, their estimate was 80-something%. The World Bank said we spent 96% of our debts, our revenues to service debt. So there is, if with where we are this year, and our, and debts projected to rise even further. Yeah, there's always a possibility that you have to go cap in hand to the IMF to borrow money, because they give you lower rates, but then they have very stringent conditions. So yeah, the possibility is always there.
All right, now lastly, really quick, because of time, Rotus, what do you think is the way forward for Nigeria to get it or claw its way out of this large debt burden that is over 70 trillion naira?
Yeah, you've got to raise revenues. Again, I always like to break these things down to a personal level. For somebody who keeps borrowing money, if your revenues are not enough, you have to find a way to make more money. In Nigeria's case, oil prices, I mean, they're down lower now, but we had a chance to profit off of higher oil prices, where we would have been selling oil at a higher price and making more money. So the oil theft has to end quickly. You've seen the president meet up with security chiefs and so on and so on. Oil theft has to end so that Nigeria's production can ramp up. Nigeria's production ramps up, we bring in more dollars, and then we can use that to give us more firepower to pay off our debts. So that you got nowhere else to go at this point than to make more money.
All right, and okay, let me quick message from Inkabolu. He says the only way out is 1, stop all levels of subsidies in whatever forms, even palliatives, and 2, increase the tax net to catch everyone. All right.
Good point.
All right. Thank you, Inkabolu and Dami, for your messages. And on that note, we've come to the end of Business Express. Thank you so much, Rotus, for joining me this morning. You have a great day and enjoy Abidjan.
Thank you so much. I'll catch you guys. I'll catch you guys tomorrow.
All right. Have a great one. All right, I will come to the end of Business Express. Stick around because there's more great music for you and so much more to look forward to. At 7:30, it will be time for Freshly Pressed. 8:15, we'll get into the locker room. And at 9 o'clock, we'll get talking on Lagos Talks. Stay with us. Ah.